Welcome back to Gibbo MMA. We are reviewing UFC Houston. Sean Strickland finishes Fluffy Hernandez in the third round. Strickland, a 3-1 underdog, coming off that loss last year to DDP. We all thought he was just going to jab teep, and that's what he did, but we didn't think he was going to get a finish. I had Fluffy winning this fight, but Strickland, that takedown defense is no joke. Fluffy couldn't get any takedowns, couldn't get close. And Strickland, he puts his knee right through Fluffy's rib cage. Fluffy gets hurt, kind of folds like a deck chair, ends up on the cage, and then Strickland, just a nice flurry of punches and gets the TKO. Wow. UFC Houston, what a main card. The prelims, woo, it was looking like a bad card, and then the main card delivered, the main event delivered, and let's go through it. It's been 2 weeks since our last episode, since the Mario Batista review. Had some time off to rejuvenate, and yeah, welcome back, guys. We just kind of preview cards, talk about what's happening in the UFC, and yeah, we had a great main event yesterday, and leading up to it, Sean Strickland doing Sean Strickland things, talking a lot of shit. I don't even watch his press conferences anymore because you just know clips are just going to get posted from it. So I just watch those, and I don't really pay too much attention to it anymore. It's just people take it so serious. I don't take him serious at all. All the stuff he says, I can see where you could get offended, but I just don't care really, because it's just words. And you've seen him saying fight to the death a lot and all the other shit he says. And then the way he's been fighting just hasn't replicated that. It's been a polar opposite, the jab teep to a decision type thing. But he got the finish this time. He kind of backed it up a bit, which was good to see. He looked great in there, looked in good shape, and he was actually listening to his coaches, because the last fight, Strickland against DDP, man, he just, sometimes you just have an off night. Who knows, might have been compromised, but he just wasn't listening to his coach, Eric Nixick. And then in this fight, he was listening to him. He looked like he was dialed in. He was just on. It was his night, and he delivered that. And for Fluffy Hernandez, I thought he would maybe be able to win this, but I wasn't convinced. I thought this fight was just a great stylistic matchup, and I wasn't confident for either guy, but I was landing Hernandez. But just that's takedown defense. Whenever we've seen Sean Strickland get mauled and taken down so easily and not being able to get back up to his feet. So that's what was so interesting in this fight. So I didn't have a dog in this fight at all. I didn't like Sean Strickland at $3.10. I was thinking about it, but I was like, nah, I think Fluffy can get the job done here, and Strickland, he proved a lot of us wrong. People forget, he beat Adesanya, one of the biggest title fight upsets in UFC history. And people forget he's a former champ. And because he's came off that bad loss to DDP over 5 rounds, just getting beaten up over a year ago, stock definitely plummeted. Now the stock's back up. He gets on the mic, shows a lot of respect to Fluffy, all that ice stuff and Mexican, and Sean's going to be Sean. He even got cut off in the post-fight presser when he starts talking about goats and all that and this, that, the other. So, but he calls out Khamzat Chimaev, and I like this. In my instant reaction, I was like, that's the fight. Sorry, Imavov, who's the number 1 contender, but Strickland beat Imavov on short notice, and Strickland has that takedown defense. Imavov, I think he'd get mauled by Khamzat. He got taken down pretty easy in the first round against Brandon Allen when they fought at Paris a couple of years ago. He ended up winning that fight, but Sean Strickland seems to be the only one out of these guys that could possibly negate the wrestling. I'd have Hamza winning the fight. I think he's on a different level with the wrestling. I think he can get Strickland down, but again, stylistic matchup wise, that's the fight I want to see. That's a lot of beef there. They trained a bit together a few years ago. Some sparring stories there, but I think that's the fight to make. You could do it at the White House. You got Chechnya versus USA. That could be an option. But yeah, let me know your thoughts, guys. Who you would like to see Strickland fight next? But let's keep moving down. We can revisit these guys. Quickly. So Hernandez, he was, remember, supposed to fight Reiner de Ritter, and then he pulled out because he got injured. So he was originally supposed to fight RDR of October last year. Had to pull out. Brandon Allen goes in there and gets the win. And then now he fights Strickland. And Strickland hit him with that nasty knee to the body. And I believe Kevin Holland was the guy to do the same thing when he beat Fluffy. Kevin Holland, hit him with the nasty body shots. Yeah, knee to the body, ground and pound. Exactly the same. And then Fluffy goes on, the 8-fight win streak. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8-fight win streak. And was going for his 9th in a row. But the knee to the body seems to be Fluffy's kryptonite. And you just think, if that Fluffy versus RDR fight, and I've been saying RDR's knees down the middle is like a freight train. And could we have seen the same thing against RDR? So I thought that was pretty interesting. So Fluffy was getting pretty sloppy and a bit chaotic in this fight, and Strickland capitalized. Hernandez, I think he must have just got frustrated. Like he tried to clinch up a bit, just couldn't get near Strickland. Couldn't get a takedown at all. I thought he went a bit chaotic, and that kind of cost him a bit. And I still think Fluffy can bounce back pretty good if we quickly matchmake for him. You've got, you got Imavov there, who isn't booked, but, Imavov wants the title. It's pretty booked up at the moment, actually. You got Brandon Allen, Fluffy Brandon Allen. Middleweight's pretty booked up at the moment. Because, he was coming off that win against Roman Dolidze. And, I don't really rate Roman Dolidze that well. So this was actually a pretty big step up in competition for Fluffy. And, it definitely showed, the Sean Strickland was just a tough matchup for him because he's got one of the best takedown defenses in that division. But if we move on down to the co-main event, we had Uros, the Dr. Medic, absolutely flatlines Jeff Neal with a left hook on the temple and gets a performance bonus. Jeff Neal was the favorite in this fight. Hands of steel. But Uros Medic, man, this guy, he's either get hit or he either gets finished or he finishes them. He's never gone to a decision. He's got 2 losses via submission, 1 via KO, but he's got 11 wins by knockout, 2 via submission. He's on a 3-fight win streak, 3-fight knockout streak, and in the first round. So 3 first-round knockout streak he is on. This guy's absolute fireworks, and because he started 2025 losing via knockout in the first round to Puna, who fought on the prelims of this card. And then he turns it around and goes on a 2-fight win streak last year and is now on a 3-fight win streak. He gets a 100K bonus. This guy's just fireworks. This is what the welterweight division needs. And they need the doctor. So well done to him. And if we keep going down, Marquezel, Costa, finishes Dan Ige, first person to knock out Dan Ige with the spinning back kick to the face, drops him. And great fight IQ here by Costa, because he didn't need to land massive punches. You just need to spam him. You just spam him with the 1-2s on the ground. And Dan Ige was covering up. These weren't heavy shots, but the optics of it and good fight IQ to get the finish, because you don't need to sort of pick your shots too much when you've dropped them like that. Just make the ref go, I got to stop this because this guy isn't fighting back. And the punches weren't heavy on the ground, but you just need to spam it and force a ref to stop the fight. And that's what he did. And he was one of my most improved, one of my top fighters of last year. Like, I sort of mentioned him a bit in the award shows, because now he's on a 3-6 fight win streak. And in 2025, he had 4 wins. So Costa is definitely a featherweight prospect. He should be ranked after that win now, and he's really coming into his own right now, Costa. So very much a new up-and-comer. Good to see some fresh meat in the featherweight division. Dan Ige, a tough guy. He will always have a job at the UFC as long as he wants to fight. Like, he stepped in on 3 hours notice against Diego Lopez, and Costa actually called out Diego Lopez. Great call out. So Dan Ige is the litmus test into those rankings. Bit of a gatekeeper, and he didn't get the win. Got finished for the first time by knockout, and I think Costa, man, he made him look like a bantamweight in there. I don't know about you, but there was a considerable size difference. Costa, like his height, 5'10". Like, he's a big featherweight, Costa. And Dan Ige, he's 5'7". So yeah, that's 3 inches, man. That's a lot. 3 inches is a lot, if you know what I mean. And Costa made Dan Ige. I was watching, like, optically, I was like, Dan Ige looks like a bantamweight in there against Costa. And yeah, Costa, 100K bonus. So there were 4 bonuses, no fight of the night. This heavyweight fight, Spivak. What's going on? Wait a second. I thought Spivak lost this fight. Hold on a second. Oh, yeah, he won. So Spivak via decision. This was a fun heavyweight fight against Ante Delija. They were scrapping. People thought Spivak was going to come in and wrestle, go for that submission, but he kept it standing. He looked like he's improved in the stand-up in the hands. Jabbed the shit out of Ante Delija, pieced him up. And this was a good fight for the heavyweights, because as we know, heavyweight division in dire straits. You know, people are calling, the heavyweights need to be getting back on the PEDs, get them roided up like Alistair Overeem, Brock Lesnar, the glory days of the heavyweights. And yeah, this was a good 3-round heavyweight fight. Wouldn't watch it again, but it wasn't like what we've seen previously when you got heavyweights rolling around the floor, huffing and puffing, not throwing any technical strikes. Whereas this was a good technical heavyweight fight. Spivak did get him down at one stage, but Delija got back up, which is great to see from heavyweights being able to get back up to their feet. And yeah, heavyweights, it's kind of hit or miss. And, there was no finish in it, a 3-round fight, but it was a lot of damage and it wasn't a slop fest. So it's kind of crazy that we're here trying to look for some positives and go, but this is how this should be the standard of a heavyweight fight. But at the moment, we're just seeing trash. Like, this should be the bare minimum for a heavyweight fight. Bare minimum, a 3-round, good damage, technical fight. Because at the moment, we're seeing some fucking bad shit at the moment. So, yeah, Spivak, let's see where he's ranked. He's currently ranked 7. So, what's next for him? Maybe a Curtis Blades. Let's see who he's fought. He's kind of been up and down at the moment. Like he was coming off a loss to WCA by decision. Yeah, maybe throw him in there against the wrestler Curtis Blades. That would be a good fun. They can kind of negate each other and keep it standing. And we keep going down the card. We had Jacoby Smith, grounds and pound, Josiah Harrell almost 6 feet into the canvas. My goodness, the stoppage on that was horrific. Jacoby Smith gets the win, gets a 100K bonus, 12-0. Josiah Harrell, I believe he stepped in on short notice. But Jacoby Smith, he's a wrestler, trains with DC a little bit. 30 years old, 3-0 in the UFC now. He was supposed to fight Suk Ko. So, yeah, well done for Josiah stepping in against a tough opponent in Jacoby Smith. And Jacoby Smith, they're going to slowly progress him, but boy, when he faces a good technical striker, he's got to be careful because he has his chin wide open, head on the center line, and that could be worrisome when he starts, getting closer to those rankings at the welterweight division. But, he's an incredible athlete. And, he got taken down, but then he instantly reversed it, ended up in side control. And this is what I like to see. He just went straight for the head, straight for the kill. And he rocked him hard with the elbow. And then just kept following it up. And by the third shot, he was out. And there was probably 7 unanswered follow-up shots where it could have been stopped. And Kerry Hatley just was late to react. And then when he went in there and stopped him, he just had his hands there. And Jacoby's in kill mode. You got to tackle these guys off. And then he eventually pushes them off. And you could see he was frustrated and disgusted with a bit Jacoby there. But it's bro, be annoyed at yourself for not getting in there. This guy that's what he's trained to do. You got to, he's locked in to just smashing this guy's face, and you're just there going stop and just flaccidly trying to push him off. You gotta get in there and freaking put a rugby tackle on him. And yeah, horrible stoppage, a lot of unanswered shots that didn't need to happen. Watching on the TV, it's a very hard job. These refs. I'm not going to be too critical, and sometimes they don't get the best. They're right there, but sometimes, if they're not in the right position, they might not see that he's out because Josiah, his face might have been facing away from the ref and couldn't see. But watching live on the TV, you could see he was out, and Kerry was kind of on the opposite side of where his face was, so you couldn't see that his eyes were completely cooked and that he was out. But he eventually got the stoppage. Jacoby could have, there was probably 2 follow-up shots where Kerry Hatley was touching him to get him off, and he kept punching, where I could be yeah, Jacoby, come on, man. If a ref touches you, even if he's not tackling you off, try and stop. But, they're in there to win. Hopefully, Kerry Hatley's a pretty good ref. It happens. But yeah, you don't want to be taking unnecessary shots like that because the ref is there to protect the fighter. And then we move on to the splitty decision fight that opens the main event. Some say there was some Oscar winning performances here. Michelle Pereira gets a splitty over Zach Reese. It was a weird fight because it was entertaining. There was a lot of damage, but then there was just moments of anticlimactic situations where we had kicks to the groin that weren't to the groin, and Michelle Pereira getting the benefit of the doubt. I don't know who was on the replay saying that was a foul, but Michelle Pereira gets an inside kick to the thigh and then claims it was to the groin, so he gets a breather. Because as we know, Michelle Pereira is a one-round wonder. Like, he gasses quick. He was using these fouls to rejuvenate, get the cardio back in check, and yeah, a lot of crowd booing. Herb Dean was the ref. He didn't take any points because Zach Reese, he even got an eye poke in there, and well done for Herb for not taking a point because these weren't egregious fouls. I think two of the groin kicks weren't even groin kicks. One was on the belt, if not above the belt line, and the other one was on the inside thigh. So, yeah, pretty bad optics for Pereira because he was a fan favorite. He dances, he does wild shit, front flips, back flips into mount, and now he's gone away from that a bit. And yeah, when you start, sort of not faking it, but when you start milking it a bit like that, the fans, we see all the angles, and yeah, not a good look. A lot of boos. Gets a splitty win. I'd probably agree with it. I'm not too concerned, but that was the main card. The main card, as far as like entertainment delivery wise, would have to give it, an A-, B+. Probably a B+ because we had the 2 decisions there. But the finishes we got there, the 4 finishes, were incredible. And then the prelims, who would have thought the only finish would have come via the women's bantamweight? Jocelyn Edwards gets some rear naked choke, slams Nora on the ground, broke a collarbone or something while doing it. But women's bantamweight gets the finish, and then the rest were just decisions. So I'm going to leave those. Don't need to touch on those at all, guys. So UFC Houston in the books. Main card was great. Was good, great. B+, close to A-. Would go a B+ because there were 2 decisions on there, and one of them, yeah. So, but let me know your thoughts, guys, on this. No fight of the night. So like that's where I can't give it an A- or an A, because there was no fight of the night on this as well. So a lot of the decisions were pretty good damage and all. But yeah, no proper crazy bangers. And yeah, so yeah, been 2 weeks since the last episode. Not a whole lot to catch up on as far as out of the octagon stuff. We had the Dan Hooker side piece allegations. I don't know. I don't really care. Who cares? To be honest. But yeah, it's never a dull day in the UFC world. There's always shit going on. We got some fight announcements. We got Sean Brady versus Joaquin Buckley at the Apex. Kind of sucks that it's at the Apex. I feel like these guys should be fighting in arenas. So that's happening April 25th. And what else we got coming up? So we got UFC Mexico next week. We got Moreno versus Kavanagh. Kavanagh steps in for Asu Amabayev. Bit of controversy around that, Kavanagh is a good prospect, but he's coming off getting flatlined by Charles Johnson and then becomes ranked off the back of it, and now gets a main event slot against a former world champion in Brandon Moreno. Because I like Kavanagh, but yeah, just as far as meritocracy, which doesn't seem to really exist in the UFC. It's not, I hope Kavanagh does well because I feel like he's just getting catapulted again. And at fighting at elevation, you could see he kind of gassed out a bit against Charles Johnson, but now a 5-round main event at elevation. I hope he does well, but it could be a long night for Kavanagh. But as you know, Brandon Moreno, he likes to let people be competitive in his fights, and he likes to go to a split decision. So, and then after that, we've got Holloway vs Oliveira for the BMF title, and yeah, still no. Oh, so we had Joshua Van versus Tatsudo Tara for UFC Miami. So we finally have an undisputed title fight booked. I'm not sure if that's the main event. It might be the co-main. I can't remember if it's the main event or not. But that's booked. Manel Cup doesn't get the shot. We got Moicano versus Duncan. That'll be a good scrap. Just trying to see. Yeah, it just says the 305 is heating up, Van vs Tyra. So I don't know if that's a main event or co-main. But yeah. Yeah, that's as far as announcements. And yeah, guys, like that's the review done. I don't really need to go too much else into that. I'm looking forward to Movzar versus Lorraine Murphy at UFC London. When's that? That should be coming up. That's in March. Yeah, March. So March is looking good. Like, we're done for February. February's done. I think Uros Medic will probably get knockout of the month for February. And then we've got March is looking good. We've got Moreno, Kavanagh, Holloway, Oliveira, Josh Emmett, Kevin Vallejos, Movzar Murphy, and then Adesanya Piper. So March Madness is on right here. It's looking good. But I'll leave it at that, guys. Not much else to really touch on. Be doing review every Monday Australian time. Appreciate the support, and let me know your thoughts. Who Strickland, whether or not he should get the title against Hamzat, or if it should be Imavov. I'll see you guys next week. Enjoy the rest of your week, guys, and catch you later.